Good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to absolutely gorgeous and beautiful Surfside, California, this lovely Sunday morning. It is so great to be with you all, and man, do we have a lot to talk about. The Endeavor does it again out of Ventura Sportfishing. What a trip! Just short of 100 halibut on their two-day trip, and it is a trip that the people on board will never, ever forget, including Eddie Berrigan, who was celebrating his 50th birthday. Eddie, happy birthday. All my best to you with his lovely daughter, Bella. Bella, nice going on that trip. Doug Tilk was on board there and several other great anglers. I'm telling you, that was a great one. We're going to be talking bluefin tuna from way below the border all the way up to the Channel Islands. There's fish everywhere, but are they biting? That's really the question. Yellowtail, white sea bass, Catalina, San Clemente, the Coronado Islands, surf fishing, and so much more. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. And what a beautiful morning it is. You can't believe the sunrise here. It is gorgeous. It's sunny. It's warm. A little bit of haze burning off behind us, but it's an absolutely gorgeous morning. I deeply appreciate all of you who hit that like button. That means a lot to us. Also, sharing these videos with a friend means so much to us. Subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel and follow us because there's way more content over there on Facebook and on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. All right, let's get into it because there's so much to cover with you all. We're going to start you out with the long-range report. Down there around Alejos Rocks where the yellowtail bite has been phenomenal, combined with some wahoo and yellowfin tuna. The YFT have been in the 40 to 70 pound class. The yellowtail 18 to 30 pounds. Pretty good stuff. And some of that wahoo, nice fish, some 60 pounders in there. Even better than that, a lot of that 20 to 40 pound who right now, but it has been biting really well. For all the long range boys who've been down there in that neck of the woods on the way home, some of those guys will go into the Baja Coast and they'll find wide open calico bass fishing. That's after you've, experienced some of that great fishing down below. And some really good white sea bass and even more yellowtail, sheephead, and all kinds of great stuff. The long range scene, we're talking about mostly 8-day trips right now. It has been spectacular. Really, really great fishing for all the boys down there. We'll bring you up to Ensenada, 70 miles down below the border. Such a great town, Ensenada, coastal Mexican town. And the fishing down there right now, well, a lot of variety. Now, the offshore is pretty hit and miss. And it's pretty hit and miss everywhere right now. We're in a little bit of a lull, I would say, with regard to our bluefin tuna in Ensenada and elsewhere. We'll get into that in a moment. But down there off Ensenada, you're lucky to get a bluefin or two. Trolled Mad Max, probably the best way to go. You still roll up on the occasional breezer of fish or foamer of bluefin tuna. A lot of that 20 to 30 pound fish, but some bigger than that, and throwing a little dart jig, little chrome type jig. Dive Sakana, it's a good one. 120 gram right in the middle of that is another way to catch some of those fish. There's some big bonita and a few dorado. We thought that would build a little quicker. I think that's going to be a fall thing right now with that dorado because there's a little bit of it around, and even an occasional yellowfin. Those are all warm water species that we're talking about, but we're not there quite yet. So offshore is a little bit hit and miss. Inshore, there's some good yellowtail action underneath the birds. When you find a bird school and throw a surface iron, that's been good. Flurries of barracuda, some of that bonita, good calico and sand bass fishing. And also we see really great rock fishing down there for the Ensenada Bay boats. Now, they are susceptible in Ensenada Bay to boat pressure, just like anywhere else. So the weekends, you get a lot of boats out there, and it makes things a lot more difficult. Just something to keep in mind. All right, let's jump and talk about bluefin tuna and offshore in general. It's been on the tougher side. Many of the boats are up here around the west end of Catalina Island. Actually, back behind it, there's a bank called the Snail Bank, 499. Those areas are holding a lot of bluefin tuna. We're seeing a lot of it up there in that neck of the woods, but it has been reluctant to bite in many, many cases. There's been, as you look over the course of the past several days, some really good scores, but there's been some scratchy fishing also. There's some areas of smaller fish, 20 to 30 pound fish, and there's some areas of 100 plus pound fish. During the daytime, Mad Mac lures trolled around can result in a fish or two, and also kite fishing has been pretty darn productive. but there are other boats who struggle with it. Some guys have even been on the backside of San Clemente Island, another area where there's some bluefin tuna, and there's also some kelps holding some yellowtail out there in that neck of the woods. But the overall picture is for the light switch being, I don't even know if it's half up right now on many of the trips. Some of the better scores over the last couple days: Pacifica, 19 bluefin tuna to 160 pounds, 5 kitefish, tomahawk. They had 90 fish, 8 of those fish, 120 to 180 pounds, 41 of those fish, 60 to 80 pounds, another 41 of those fish, 25 to 30 pounds. You can see the variety in terms of the size. Pegasus, 56 on bluefin tuna, 31. 60 to 150 pound fish. The Legend on a 2-day, 26 bluefin tuna, 18 over 100 pounds. And the Cortez on a 2.5-day trip, 23 bluefin tuna, 17 over 100 pounds. In any other year, I mean, if you went back 20 years, we'd be talking about this was the greatest fishing we've ever seen. But everything is relative, and right now, that's, slower fishing here in Southern California. You still get a chance at a big trophy bluefin tuna. There's still plenty of fish all around, and it extends from San Diego down below into Mexican waters all the way up into the Channel Islands. In fact, boats like the Pursuit out of 22nd Street Landing, the Native Son out of 22nd Street Landing are seeing a lot of fish every single day, and some days getting a handful of those bluefin tuna. Most of that fish is catchable, 20 to 30 pound fish, but you do get an 80, 100 pounder kicked in there every once in a while. And because it's finicky, you need to get tough and drop that fluorocarbon down to 25 pound, 30 pound. You're going to want to get bit on the heaviest line possible, and you're going to have to be very observant and gauge the bite. You're also going to have to pick a lot of baits and change those baits, and the more baits you fish, the more fish and opportunities you're going to have. In other words, get a good hot bait, fish it, it doesn't get bit, change it, and just keep doing that over and over and over again, and that will result in a much better hookup ratio for you. After you hook them, it's up to you to land those little devils. So that is our overall bluefin tuna picture right now. We're going to get into the kelp patty action. Then we're going to talk about a score. 96 halibut on the Endeavor. You're going to want to see these photos in a minute. But first, if you have tax problems or unfiled taxes, you're going to want to contact Tim Marquez. He's the very best. He's been doing taxes for 35 years. Give Tim a call today. And for heating and or air conditioning needs, John Lopez at a Fish and Heating and Air Conditioning. The kelps everywhere are still holding some nice big fat yellowtail. The other day on the Highliner, they had 80 of those nice big fish. 75% of them were good grade, and good grade we'll call up over 12 pounds, up over from 12, let's say, to up over 20 pounds. Nice kelp patty fish. However, you have to find that right kelp patty, and by that, a kelp patty that is not only holding, but is eager to bite also. Sometimes that's hard to do, and you end up with a clunker kind of trip or long days looking for that right kelp patty or any kelp patty at all. You find that right kelp, you're in there. Now, same thing. You're changing those baits regularly when you're on a kelp. You're fishing the lighter 25-pound fluorocarbon if you can't get a bite, smaller circle hook also, or you can go up to the heavy stuff if that's what indeed they're going to bite. So you have to gauge that very, very closely. And once again, we've seen kelps down below San Diego. We've seen them behind San Clemente Island. There's been a couple of good kelps up here around Catalina Island holding some fish. There's been an occasional Dorado also kicked in there, but not a lot of Dorado right now. And again, hit and miss on the yellowtail action. We're watching that for you very, very closely. Hopefully that's all going to come together. Coronado Island's like a parking lot this morning. Oh my God. I talked to a private boater who said, man, it's brutal here. There are so many boats. Some private boaters are doing very, very well at the Coronado Island. Some sport boats have had some decent scores, but overall, this boat pressure is really affecting it. It's August, for God's sakes, and we've had such great fishing at the Coronado Islands. It took a recent dip and shut off completely when the water temperature got really, really cool and the water got kind of mucked up and dirty. That's since cleaned up, and the bite is much more consistent now, and I'm hoping when we get to the weekdays, it's going to be even better. Get some of that pressure off of there. Pretty much the same admonition I've been giving you. It's a bait bite there. You do catch surface ironfish also, and some people will tell you, like Marcus Fain, that throwing a surface iron is a good way to catch bigger yellowtail. But that 25-pound fluorocarbon works really well. The fish in terms of their size are 8 to 20-pound fish right now. So pretty good fishing, but also a lot of boats. And sometimes you have a real clunker kicked in there. San Clemente Island. Gotta love what's going on at Clemente. Now, while it's not totally consistent, and there's been some slow fishing there also. You're getting the theme here of today's report. There's a lot of fish around, but it's kind of off the bite everywhere we look. Not for everybody, but there has been some slower fish. There's still a lot of calico bass there. There's that morning dropper loop yellowtail fishing, which can be quite good at times. The Amigo 15 guys, 38 yellowtail out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. Drop anchor at whatever time there, make some squid, and you are dropper loop fishing right then. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're in the anchor drop, they get on some squid, you want to be fishing right then, right through daybreak. During the daytime, good calico bass fishing, and also the occasional possibility of a white sea bass or two, and then some really excellent yellowtail fishing during daytime hours also at times. Take a look at the Pride. On a recent trip, they had white sea bass, they had yellowtail, they had bluefin tuna. May not have been wide open on any of those species, but looks pretty darn good to me, so not bad at all. At Catalina Island, we continue to pick at the bass. Private boaters have actually had some really good calico bass fishing, occasional good yellowtail bite. The El Patron picking some yellows, catching some calicos, sheephead whitefish, all of that stuff over there with a little bit of barracuda. Also, don't forget the El Patron is going to be over there this coming week, and they've got some room. They're sold out Friday through Sunday on most weeks right now. You might be able to get in on a weekday trip. I highly recommend you do it. The El Patron is such a great ride out of Long Beach Sportfishing, fishing Catalina Island, and they have the option to go off and look at tuna also, but they've been hanging at the island a lot here recently. www.longbeachsportfishing.org to get on the El Patron. Up in the Channel Islands, we've got to talk about the Endeavor. What a trip. What a wonderful 50th birthday party for a truly great guy, Eddie Berrigan. His daughter, Bella, who's our model for our Friedman Adventures merchandise. They had the trip of a lifetime. 96 halibut. Doug Tilk, who does so much for Friedman Adventures, he's such an important member of the Friedman Adventures family, jumped on that trip late. If you remember, I put on here, hey, we got a few openings for the Endeavor. Well, some of you guys jumped on it right away, anticipating another great Tucker McCombs trip, and this one was off the hook with fantastic, great fishing on halibut. 96 halibut, a couple of white sea bass, other critters like sheephead and whitefish kicked in there. I don't know how it can get any better than this trip on the Endeavor. And Tucker McCombs just keeps doing it over and over and over again. And that is why when an open party trip comes online, you should jump on it. Or if we happen to post, hey, there's a charter and the guy needs 2 guys, jump on it, just like Doug did. Trip of a lifetime. So happy for you, Eddie and Bella and Tucker and everybody that makes Ventura sport fishing so fantastic as you check out those great photos of those great people who had the trip of a lifetime. There's still a little bit of bluefin tuna up there in the Channel Islands. The gray light is out on a regular basis trying to get that stuff to bite, picking fish or two. And the other boats up there are experiencing some halibut, white sea bass, perhaps not in these kinds of numbers, but a little smattering of that. And there's some barracuda and calico and sand bass up there and the omnipresent rockfish. Yesterday, on board the Island Spirit, also out of Ventura Sport Fishing, they gave it a heck of a try on the barracuda and the halibut, but it didn't want to bite, so they fell back on some excellent rock fishing. Island Spirit out today on their Kids Fish Free trip. That's always a great one. Adults pay, the kids 12 and under go for free. It's a fantastic promotion that they'll run for the rest of the year. And they'll be out again during the weekdays coming up. Island Spirit is one of our favorite rigs. We love fishing the Island Spirit. You'd be wise to get out there with Captain Daniel and have a great time. Daniel Hadaway and his crew do a fantastic job. 805-676-3474. Get on board the Island Spirit. All right, the best local bite right now has got to be San Diego and their sand bass bite. It is phenomenal. Twilight, daytime. Sand bass have been biting for weeks now, as it really is a throwback to years gone by. It's been that good. The local bite in San Diego, and they're still catching plenty of sand bass. Dropper loop, a great way to make it happen there. You've seen some really good fishing on the plastic type lures, and also even like a little Colt Sniper, you can catch sand bass. They're that wide open. A little bit of calico bass up and down the coast. And, you know, a lot of landings, like the Victory yesterday, previous day or so, they had great sand bass fishing, limits of sculpin yesterday. It's August, and we're catching sculpin up there in the Redondo area and Marina del Rey. Some good twilight bass fishing. Daytime, a lot of sculpin and whitefish going on in that neck of the woods. Big fish, bait, and tackle on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. They've got all the bait you'll need and the tackle you'll need, from trout fishing right on up to big, giant bluefin tuna. But if you're going to fish the surf, you need to stop in there, purchase a ruler that you'll measure your catch on, and then you're going to upload that photo to Instagram. Every single month, they give away a brand new custom, beautiful surf fishing rod that you're going to love. Make sure you go to Big Fish Bait and Tackle. And of course, they have all the worms and all the other baits that'll make you successful here in the surf. A little bit of yellowfin, croaker here in Surfside, but it's been a little bit on the slower side. Fishing that window from 2 hours before the high tide until 2 hours after is a good way to get things done. There's been a few halibut, spotfin, croaker, Huntington Beach, some good Corbina fishing, Santa Monica Bay, yellowfin and Corbina around the Topaz Rock Jetty, Rats Beach, and up there around the Redondo Beach Pier. Pretty good stuff going up on the Ventura County line. There's still quite a bit of barred perch up there in that neck of the woods as we continue to watch out for you very, very closely. Again, if you want to get 10% off anything at promarahi.com, I mean, anything you see there, including their brand new fluorocarbon, the GT4 fluorocarbon, you're going to want to do that. Exciting news for you all. Friedman Adventures is partnering up with a guide, and I'm going to be taking you and a friend, 2 people, fishing inside LA Harbor, Long Beach Harbor, where we find some phenomenal halibut, bass fishing, and so much more. More details on that shortly. Drop a comment down below if you'll be interested in joining us. We're going to start those trips in September, and it's going to be fun. We may even start them in late August, so stay tuned for that. Friedman Adventures going to offer you some great adventures inside the harbor, a little 4-hour trip where you can bring your son or daughter out and have an absolute ball with me and with our guide. You're going to love it. All right, my friends, what can I tell you? You have no idea how beautiful it is here this morning. I hope you are not, if you're not able to get out on the water, you just come down and enjoy this. It's beautiful. Go surf fishing, go for a walk with somebody you love. Just have a really great time and get out into the outdoors and let this sunshine and beautiful ocean renew your soul. Have a great one, and I hope to see you really, really soon.